That's much better. How are you doing, by the way?
I'm good. The lockdown is extended, so making a list of things that I need to accomplish.
Yeah, I think we need to make our to-do list depending on you know how the future is going to unfold for us, and kind of as humans we need to have this purpose and this control over things that are going to happen in the future that keeps us going. Thank you
Indeed.
so much for joining us, Purvaja Kumar. I'll just introduce what we are doing and why are you here and I'm here at this moment, and we're speaking to people. So I'll just try to initiate and make people understand that this initiative, which is a mental health initiative, started off by Preeti Singh, who is a certified mental health first aider. And when she reached out to me, and me being an artist and a curator, and I've been involved in a lot of exhibitions, festivals, including the Identity Art Marathon, which I had not spoken about earlier, which is a self-awareness campaign. It's a 24-day festival. Unfortunately, it won't happen this year because of the lockdown, because it happens in the month of May. But let's see, that should happen. Uh, I am here to conduct interviews with mental health professionals and specialists from the fields, and to see how we can create a more wholesome experience for people to come and be a little more relaxed. Putting their mind at ease is what our purpose is. And we're trying to get the specialists on board to speak about it so that the people get the right information from the right people. And so everyone, we have with us Purvaja Kumar, who is the founder of Humans of Canines. And we've already had a session with her on Sunday. And it's really nice to have her back. Welcome, Purvaja.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So after that long thing, I would just like to share that this session, the fourth session today, right now, we are going to be talking about mental health in pets. It's more to do with, so I think that's a nice start where the technology tells you to take a breather and come back and restart, refresh.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Before we went offline, I was trying to ask you a question as to what exactly is animal assisted intervention and what does it include? What does it really mean in plain terms?
So, animal assisted intervention in plain terms and would be using an animal in a particular setup where you're trying to enable a healthy environment and also enable, say, well-being in general. So
Okay.
basically, trying to use any sort of an animal where where you're trying to achieve something which we as professionals, mental health professionals, are trying to achieve, which is a healthy environment, whether it's
Right.
physiological, sociological, psychological. It is all encompassing, but we use an animal as an aid, as an enabler. So that's animal assisted intervention broadly. Under animal assisted intervention, there are several other areas, which
Right.
is so animal assisted intervention is like an umbrella, and under which we talk about animal assisted activity, where there's no structure as such, it's not goal oriented, but you enable a therapeutic process by visiting a particular setup. Say you take the dog to a hospital, or say you take the dog to an office setup, a work setup, and it has like it's like a visitation program where
Okay.
you enable say there are several goals to each settings, right? So
Right.
if you take a dog to a hospital, your aim would probably be to reduce the stress levels of the patients.
Right.
So things like that. You focus on certain key areas when you take the animal to a particular setting.
Right.
It's not really a therapy per se, because there's
Right.
another service under it, which is animal assisted therapy, which is more
Right.
goal oriented, scientific and structured, where an animal assisted therapist works along with a psychologist or a psychiatrist or any other health worker, say an occupational therapist, speech
Right.
therapist, where the therapy is already happening with a particular person,
Mhm.
and the animal assisted therapy acts as a
Support. Mm.
complementary, yeah, supporting therapy for reaching the goals much sooner than what was
Right.
envisioned with a singular therapy. So that's animal assisted therapy, where you are working with a healthcare professional. Then there is animal assisted education, where you're
Right.
working with, say, teachers, you're working on a structured curriculum where you're trying to attain, say, academic goals using an animal. Say, your dog can teach a particular, say, subject, like my dogs can count on. So
Wow.
we use that we use that often in schools. So that's animal assisted education. Yeah, so these are the three broad areas within animal assisted intervention: animal assisted activity, animal assisted therapy,
Therapy.
and animal assisted education.
So thank you. I mean, I stand corrected. I started off by talking about what, I mean, that would be probably be speaking about animal assisted therapy per se, but it's more to do with. So I think we'll be focusing on more of the animal assisted activities. Is that what we plan to do? If you could just help us try
So,
and structure the further moments.
sure, sure. So, we would be speaking about animal assisted interventions in general, and we can
Right.
start focusing on therapy also specifically, to know what exactly does therapy do or
Right.
achieve. So, we can focus on each of these while we are discussing, but I
Right.
just wanted to make it very clear initially so that people don't
Right.
confuse that, oh,
Yeah.
if you take a dog to, say, a school, is that therapy? No, that's not therapy. That's just an activity. There, it can enable a therapeutic process, but you make
The
sure.
focus is to educate, focus is to learn or enable learning, I
Yes,
think.
yes, yes, yes. Yeah,
So wonderful. So
it's
we've
not
got.
so
Hmm.
scientific. Yeah, sorry.
So I think we've got three things. So we've got the intervention, which is in the form of an activity, the other which is a therapeutic process, which is goal oriented, and the third being the enabler in terms of education and learning. Uh, I think one thing that I kind of understand from this is that the target audience, the person or who's being enabled or who's being provided these services are also different, and their needs are different, and accordingly, these activities or these therapies are planned, right? I mean, so what is the segregation of, how do we plan it? Do we plan it according to the need of the individuals or the group or the collective? I mean, how is it done?
Yes, it is planned as per the need of the group. So, say for example, an animal assisted activity, which is slightly more informal in nature, where I take the dogs to different settings, I would
Okay.
want to know like a basic overview of what kind of people I'm addressing and what is
Right,
the need of that group. So, I would be addressing it accordingly. But a therapy is mostly more goal oriented. So, I would want to know
right,
the history of the patient. I would want to try and understand where exactly is the patient lagging, and how can animal assisted therapy enable that process.
right,
Have like constant interactions with the psychologist or the healthcare worker. So accordingly, I will have to plan. With again,
right.
animal assisted education, I would be focusing on the curriculum that the students are focusing on. So accordingly, design a curriculum along with the animal to enable an academic, to help them achieve an academic goal.
Right. So another thing, so I understand that when we keep speaking about animal assisted, interventions, we're not talking about just dogs or canines. We're talking about animals as such. So uh, me being probably I just don't know too many, but I think dogs were the basic, I mean, that's what I have seen as the pet or the animal that has been used to assist in terms of therapy or enabling or, interventions. I mean, which other animals are used and I mean, where are they used generally?
Animals, there are many animals used as therapy, for therapy. Cats are used for therapy.
Okay.
Fish is used for therapy.
Really?
Even dolphins have been used, ferrets,
Hmm.
guinea pigs. pigs, and very popular is equine therapy, which is using horses,
Horses.
because
Okay.
yeah, they are all used for therapy. Um, in terms of dogs, they have been quite effective, because humans and dogs have kind of evolved together. So we were
Right.
hunters and gatherers, and then now we've gotten into the corporate
Yeah.
lifestyle. And if you see, even dogs, for that matter, have evolved from wolves to come to sit on our couches and watch Netflix. So
Right.
they've kind of yeah, they've kind of adjusted to how humans have lived. So their dependency from humans is much more than a lot of
Right.
other animals. That
Okay.
makes the therapy process easier.
Okay.
And most important is their ability to read body language. And
Okay.
they practice something called social eavesdropping, which is what they're
Mhm.
constantly reading everyone's body language,
Okay.
which makes them really effective as therapy animals.
So this social eavesdropping that you're talking about, is this something that is specific only to canines, or is this something which is more enhanced in them?
Something that has evolved, and yes, something more enhanced in canines. I wouldn't know about the other
Yeah.
species that well, because I have specialized in canines. But
Right.
sorry,
No,
but
that's
I would say that dogs are, if dogs understand body language as simple as pointing. Dogs are the only species that understand when you point at things, they will turn their heads accordingly. So
right.
human gestures are very well understood by dogs.
Right. Uh, so since you are a certified dog trainer, and then you help with the creating situations for these canines to be ready to assist people in terms of intervene or any kind of intervention. What goes into actually becoming a certified? I mean, first, why did you become one? Was that something that you really wanted to do, or did you? I mean, and then secondly, how how difficult or easy is it, and how much time does it take to be somebody who can train dogs?
For therapy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I have studied mental health. So I was a student of psychology. Then I did my master's in medical and psychiatric social work. Then I did a
Right.
second master's in social psychology. So I was a part of this sector for quite some time.
Right.
And then when I decided to get into dog training,
Mhm.
I realized that I can club my passion and my profession together. And that's what got me interested in animal assisted therapy, where I can train the dogs also, and I have a fair idea of counseling skills, or for that matter, different kinds of mental health issues. So
Right.
that I felt was perfect, and went with the theme of what my organization talks about, which is humans of canines, ultimately enhancing the lives of humans through canines, which happens through therapy or any other intervention that I spoke about. I
Right.
think, yeah, your second question is kind of. So I am trained under Shirin Merchant, and she's my guru. And I did my training also. I mean, the dog training course, and also the therapy dog course under her.
Right.
And that certainly added value to my existing skills as, say, a counselor or a psychology a student in psychology. So I would say that anyone who wants to take up something like this currently in India, I would certainly recommend Shirin Merchant.
Right.
But there are several online courses that are being offered where you get certification. But it is very important that you understand both the aspects, the canine behavior as well as the human
The
behavior,
human
to get
psychology.
into animal assisted therapy. Even if you're not really becoming a counselor, it is very important to understand the subject matter. So I would advise any trainer or any psychologist getting into this field to know about, at least get a fair idea about the behavior of
Right.
canines or any other animal, and also psychology.
Psychology of humans as well. Nice. So,
Absolutely.
are there any anecdotes or any incidents that you recall that that still stand out in your memory as to, while you were undergoing the training, learning about it? And then maybe some success story that you would want to share as to how you utilize that understanding and that knowledge, and you created it maybe for corporate, for individuals, or for group.
Sure. One of the things that I learned when I went into therapy, learning about therapy and Shirin was
Right.
it is very different to just take a dog to a setup and call it therapy.
Right.
That is what I thought. I thought, okay, so everyone's happy. That means therapy is happening. No, therapy is more like I said, structured process. So we tend to use it so loosely in our day-to-day life that I
Right.
would really request all the mental health professionals to use it in a correct way. Also, I would say that it's very important to understand dogs, or in my case dogs, to understand whether your dog is capable of becoming a therapy animal. Not all dogs are capable of being therapy animals, because you have to temperament test the dog. You can't just say,
Right.
oh, my dog is so friendly, can be therapy animal. No, you have to do it. There is a process to it to assess the dog's behavior.
Right.
In terms of anecdotes, my favorite ones would be when I was working with children who were suffering from hearing impairment and speech impairment, and how they found like a common ground of communicating with another species, which was through body language and sign language. And they were,
Right.
and because dogs are not judgmental, so it was a perfect ground to have like a discussion with them, because there was no one judging them, and they loved the session, and it boosted their say confidence, and enhanced a lot of a general. I mean, we could work on a lot of other aspects, considering it created a non-judgmental environment.
Right.
Other than that, children with multiple sclerosis, when we were working with them, they couldn't walk. So just holding on
Right.
to the leash and moving even a few inches, say 4 or 5 inches, would give them so much. They felt so empowered, and it
Right.
enhanced their say motor skills. So as simple as that, these small things made a lot of difference, and I hope to create such an environment in future also.
Right. So, like you're sharing, I mean, the roles of the different dogs that you had. I mean, going to the children's ward, going to for motor skills and for other things. The abilities of the dogs and their breeds, specific breeds, would also be different, right? So, I mean, can you just tell us in brief, maybe that, kind of these are used really for this, because they would have the learning abilities, and which is what they can share with the others as well.
Yeah. I personally, I mean, certainly, certain dogs have been used as therapy dogs. Mostly the breeds are Labradors, Golden Retrievers, Springer Spaniel, Poodles, and nowadays even indies make great therapy
Right.
dogs. However, it is not breed specific, so I want to make that very clear, that it's more to
Right.
do with temperament than the breed. Yes, people do avoid taking certain breeds that have a very strong hunting or protection tendency,
Right.
to avoid any unforeseen circumstance, but I wouldn't like totally disregard them and say that they are not fit to be therapy animals. There could be certainly, say, Rottweiler that could be a better therapy animal compared to a Labrador. So there's no such category that I want to put them into. Some
Right.
indies are great therapy animals. So temperament test is what I would focus on, like focusing on how they respond to different kinds of
Right.
noises, how they respond to different kinds of touch. Because if, say, for instance, you take them to a setting where there are children suffering from autism, they would be
Right.
touched in different ways and they shouldn't react. So you should test their tolerance to different stimuli. So that's what I would be focusing on rather than breeds.
Yeah, I agree. I think that temperament is very important as to how they would respond to different situations, because you cannot predict how the people that you're taking the canine to, or the animal, to, how they would also respond. You cannot have 100% aspect there. Uh, but all in all, what do you think? So, I mean, how many sessions, or I mean, how many things or such interventions do you do in a month? Or is there a schedule that you're able to manage, or how does it go about? Is it a very frequently utilized activity?
So it depends. Now, if it's animal assisted activity, it is done fairly regularly. Like I go regularly, say monthly, thrice, or even 4 times for that matter, like weekly ones. There are certain workshops also that I do, or certain events that I do, which are also activities. Like, for instance, during the board exams, I did an all the best give a high five event where Leo would sit right in front of the examination hall, giving everyone a high five before they entered to reduce the stress. So we would do these events. However, therapy, on the other hand, is more to do with how the sessions go with
Right.
the psychologist. So I would suggest something like discussing this with the therapist and planning the sessions accordingly, because there is a certain process or procedure that needs to be adopted in that case.
Yeah, and I think the therapies are more goal oriented, so there's a purpose to them, and there's a feedback in terms of how to take it forward to continue. You know, right. So,
Absolutely true.
yeah. So you generally use Leo and Murphy? I mean, those are your two dogs, right?
Yes, I
What
use
do you-
Leo and Murphy.
uh,
Murphy is the what do you call? He's like the brings out the laughter in people because he
okay,
does a lot of tricks. So works really well with kids.
okay.
So Murphy, the beagle,
Hmm.
loves to have his treats. So I think during animal assisted activities, he's the star. No one pays attention to us. And when it comes to Leo, Leo is a more emotional dog. So he would like to play fetch, and he would like to interact constantly. So when I go to mental health settings, Leo works out really well, where they interact in different ways. Like if they play fetch, all the
Hmm.
mental health patients suffering from mental illness, they
Right.
create different toys for Leo. They play tag, they play different kinds of games with them. So yes, such things happen. And Leo and Murphy currently, of course, I've also taken Ginger, one of the golden retrievers that my friend has, Namrata.
Right.
She is a very calm golden retriever, loves cuddles. So according to the needs, I take the dog accordingly. So depends on what exactly is the need of
The
the
need.
particular workshop. Yeah, yeah.
So I was just reading one of the comments, and it says, "Can we see Murphy and Leo?"
Okay, I sent Murphy and Leo to outside because this was a rather serious discussion. But I would make sure that I post something about Murphy, Leo, and Ginger today
Right.
as therapy dogs, and so that you have a look at them, and we will interact. You can get to interact with them through my stories.
Excellent. And Humans of Canines is your handle on Instagram. I think on Facebook as well, it's Humans of Canines, right?
Yes, both on Facebook and Instagram. Yes.
Yeah. So anybody who's listening in and wants to look at and say hello to Leo, Ginger, and Murphy can go to her page, Purvaja's page of Humans of Canines, and look them up. Uh, Anything special that you would want to mention? I mean, that I might have missed that you feel that needs to be spoken about in this session, Purvaja?
Well, you have covered a lot, and I think it's too technical for everyone to kind of. But remember that I want to reiterate that no matter what, even if you don't think that your dog can be an animal assisted therapy dog as such, but
Right.
certainly dogs have a very strong therapeutic value, and so do other pets, I'm sure, but I can speak for dogs. So I think they have like great therapeutic value, especially now during the lockdown. I would
Right.
really want you to relax with your dog, like play some light music, listen to say listen to songs that your dog also enjoys with you,
Right.
and relax with them. And you have an in-house therapist. Everyone who has a pet has an in-house therapist. Make use of it and try and relax with them and connect with them a bit more using anything that adds to the therapy. Yeah.
I think I totally agree with you. And spending time with them and giving them attention is the best way to receive love back from them, which is unadulterated, untainted. They don't really want anything else from you. They just want attention more than anything else.
True.
They want
True.
as well.
And it's scientifically proven because both I mean dogs do help in generating a hormone called oxytocin, which is one of the mood uplifters in our
Uplifters.
bodies. Yeah. And even they produce hormones of love when they look into your eyes. So it's like
Yeah.
mutual, right? Therapy is happening both ways. So why not utilize that time during the lockdown where you can cuddle and pet your dog a little bit more than usual?
Yeah, I think this companionship is very important, and hopefully once when the lockdown is over, we would still remain, more attentive towards our the best friend, the man's best friend, which is the dog. But I'm sure that other
And
people.
women.
And I'm so sorry, but I meant, okay, man, women, and everybody.
Yes.
For all of us humans, I think any kind of pets, not just dogs. I think I have friends who have parrots, who have guinea pigs and cats. I'm sure that they are all very, wonderful companions to them. Thank you so much, Purvaja, for a wonderful session. This was more technical. This was more, specific for science as well, but it's always going to be about love and belongingness and companionship. Thank you so much for taking this session. Uh, Thank you so much.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
I'll just take a moment to tell all our listeners that we are conducting these sessions with specialists from mental health, and we are taking different aspects of how we can address and make it easier for people to put their mind at ease. And so they can keep following us on Facebook and Instagram. We are mind at ease underscore MH on Instagram. And you can find us on Facebook as well. We have a session tomorrow. You can check that out on our all the events are there. Thank you so much everybody who joined us, and we'll be back tomorrow at 4:30. Thank you so much, Purvaja. I'm sure that we'll be doing another session with you. Bye bye.
Thank you so much. My pleasure.
Bye bye.
Bye.